Hello, guys, and welcome to Coschat. I'm here once again this week, and I have Tweedcladninja Cosplay, aka Daniel.
Evening.
Daniel is here today to talk a little bit to us about. He's a cosplayer, but he's also a LARPer. So, delving straight in, what would you say is sort of the main difference between LARP and cosplay? Like, give me a definition of LARP.
Now, LARP, obviously, live action role play is what it stands for, and the best way I can describe it is it's a mix of Amdram, cosplaying, D&D, and historical reenactment.
That's a nice description. I like that.
The description I once gave was it's like a game of rugby where you're given weapons and the ball can fight back, but that's probably the more combat-heavy one. So, with LARP, it's like playing a D&D game. You create a character, you go to the game, it's got its own rules, its own world. It could be anything from a massive 1,000-plus people making a tent city to 10 people in a cabin in the middle of the woods dealing with some minor situation. And you basically, however long that event lasts, usually it could be a day, it could be 3 days, you play that character and you pretty much immerse yourself in them. Obviously, unlike with a cosplay where you're playing the existing character, the LARP is you're creating your own character. You can base a character off someone, but it is you're that character. You basically have full control over who they are, what they're doing, what they think, what they wear. So it's kind of like creating an OC character, but then getting to actually play them out there as well.
That sounds really cool. Like, I've definitely delved with the possibility of doing LARPs, but like I haven't quite ventured that far yet. I'm obviously a cosplayer myself, but I have not done the LARP side of it yet. I probably will at some point because it's a side of it that kind of interests me anyway. In terms of obviously sort of LARPs and things, then what kind of LARPs have you been to? Like, what kind of ones would you sort of recommend for other people, for example?
Right. Well, I've only actually been LARPing for 2 years, which I do take a bit of pride in the fact that people who hear that do actually go, what? Because I've spent 16 years with an Amdram group and played D&D, so I know how to think like an act. And once you get over the crippling stage fright and the fact that, oh god, the monsters are actually fighting back, you can look into it. I started off LARPing last March at Future's End, which is a modern-day superhero game, because I figured I could actually turn up at that with a bunch of superhero kit I've got from other cosplays. I can look like a crappy one of those real-world superheroes you see on the news, because that's actually visible in-game. And I really enjoyed it. It started off as the first event. There were like 50 of us. Now there's like 150, and it's possibly growing more. I also crew for another LARP run by a group called Age of Ether, which crewing, whereas you play a character, crewing is your everything from random peasant number 3 to orc on the left to the actual king, and you basically get to play half a dozen different roles. That one is a steampunk game based off H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. And I'll actually be going to crew that next week, so, you know, I probably should actually reread the rules at some point. I've also done 2 others recently, and I'm doing the 5th at the end of this year. I've done Fools and Heroes, which is a fantasy LARP, which is a bit different. It's got local branches all over England, and once a month they run a one-day thing where you do 2 adventures. You turn up, play half, crew half, and you can go for as many of them a month through each area, as long as you pay your yearly membership. It's 20 quid a year, that entitles you to go adventure with them. Sheffield is actually, my hometown, is one of the smallest branches, so the first one I went to 2 months ago, there were 8 of us total. And a little D&D dungeon crawl, so yeah, 4 adventurers, 4 monsters. You know, first time around I was basically wearing a goblin mask, jumping out on the players, getting killed, running further down the road, playing a dead body for them to investigate, moving further down the road once they passed, and then we swapped outfits over and went to do the same. And I crewed briefly for something called Lorien Trust, which is one of the biggest fantasy, probably the biggest LARP in England. Where
I've heard of that one, like that one I've heard of.
A lot of people I know do it. It's on my list to try. It's just working out the budget, because it's like 1,000+ people. Like I said, they basically build a tent city, and it's like Lord of the Rings in real life in places. Like, I crewed an event where I just turned up, no idea what was going on. It was literally, right, here's some makeup, you're a skeleton, go out and attack the players, die, come back, we'll send you out again. And the costumes I saw there was everything from a Frankenstein monster, a unicorn, warriors, that you name it, someone's played it. I'm going to give Mistwood a try later this year, which is a dark fantasy atmospheric game run in November when it's actually, the nights are drawing in, it's getting cold. If you've not near the campfire, you're pretty much wandering around. And I'm probably going to traumatize myself at that.
Yeah, don't do that. No, it sounds really cool. Like, there's so many different types of LARP as well, which I think is something that maybe you don't necessarily realise outside of that world of LARP. Obviously, you have like your sort of high fantasy. You've got like your more kind of modern day LARPs as well. But would you sort of say that maybe the best way to sort of, maybe if you were interested in getting into LARP, would be like one of the more modern day ones then?
You can, yeah, because the thing that puts a lot of people off giving it a try is the expense. It's not a cheap hobby, but then neither is cosplaying for a lot of people. Because, yeah, you've got transport, accommodation, you need camping, you need a costume. When I did Future's End, I made a very basic costume, which most of it was done using duct tape.
Do you want to show maybe the pictures of it? I've got some pictures of it for you.
Yeah, this is my character Stalwart, who started off. That was my first costume, so I basically wore a pair of trousers, photography vest, pilot jacket that didn't fit me. As you can sort of see, all the insignias are duct tape. I turned up as that. I modified it by the time the event rolled. If you want to bring up the... Okay. And so that costume was like my prototype. I basically spent 10 quid for the photography jacket on it. Everything else was stuff I already owned from other props. That's...
There you go.
Yeah, that's the thing. The next one, if you go for me with the Gribbly, I'll show you the... should be the next picture. That's the one. So that's me at the actual event. I've added a bit more padding, got the actual LARP sword. You can also notice I'm covered in mud.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's lots of mud there.
There's a lot of mud involving LARP. That was the first Future's End, which took place in March 2016, and was supposed to be taking place in Venezuela, and it snowed.
Oh, wow, in March.
People were going to a travel lodge because they were frozen out of their tents. I mean, I can wear a short-sleeved shirt because I'm apparently a freak of nature, but I was, seeing a lot of things. That's why if anyone here does go and play Future's End, and you hear anyone mention the Venezuelan winter, there will be sort of flashbacks. It becomes a Vietnam War.
Bit of an in-joke there, I like it.
There's a lot of them. But yeah, so I kind of adjusted the costume. It was supposed to be zipped up, but the zip kept breaking, so I've adjusted it. If we nip onto the next one, we'll see how it kind of gradually evolves. So it's become more armoured. And that's the other great thing about LARP, your character can actually evolve and the personality goes a bit differently. So that was actually me walking about to basically beat up a monster at that point, hence the... also, I'd injured my leg at that event, so I think I'm either angry or I've just put my foot down wrong.
Oh no.
And sort of see the costume's still getting more and more put together. It looks a bit more like a suit of armour, still with an element of airship pilot. And you just can make nearly anything. The leg guards are gardening strimmer guards using a hedge trimmer, spray paint a bit silver on them, sort of. The trousers are work trousers. Under the scarf is a chest plate made by cutting up some motocross gear. And it just evolved. If you want to nip onto the next one, go.
Oh, wow.
And that was what I called that the Mark III. I've taken up the Iron Man style thing. Believe it or not, the main thing about that costume everyone notices are the mask, which is a toy Optimus Prime mask that's spray painted, and the black doors over the eyepiece, so it actually looks like a solid piece. And the Knight's tabard, which is actually a Poundland scarf and some duct tape. So that thing attached to my belt cost 50p to make.
Nice.
And there are various things going on, and the only problem was I overheated in that costume and I couldn't see wearing the mask when it got dark.
Yeah.
The biggest difference between cosplay and LARP is a LARP kit you basically have to live in for a weekend. You have to be able to run, fight, crouch down, fall over, get up, possibly in one occasion swim a lake. Thankfully I wasn't one of the people on that game, but... They did at the second Future's End have a rescue people stranded and build a raft and get across a lake, so I didn't go on that event.
It has to be a proper kind of, it can't just be a cosplay costume held together with hot glue.
You can have that, you just have to be prepared that your costume could fall apart at any moment.
Yeah.
Also, if you're going to wear a lot, layers are good, but they can also be, you've got to still have airflow. So it gets cold at night. You don't want to just be running around in the, one or two layers or the lot of exposed skin.
Mm.
A costume you can put some thermals on under is fine, but also you don't want to put too many layers on and block your head. It's actually why my helmet is a full face mask, leaves my head free. The second Future's End, I actually was the only person who nearly suffered heat stroke in the middle of the night in October.
Oh, God.
I was stood there talking, hat, everything, full body covered, and my glasses just went opaque.
Wow.
I had to grab onto the person standing next to me and just mutter, okay, out of character, if you move, I will fall over.
That's not good, yes. You still need to look after yourself.
Yes.
Whether you're in character or out of character, you still have to look after yourself.
That's the other thing with LARP is that, it's easy to lose track, because cosplay, you'll wear it at a con, but you can go sit down, you can chill out.
Mm.
At a LARP, there might not be an OC area, you might have to stay in character.
See, that would be really hard, because obviously I do a lot of in-character stuff, but I do it for probably a max of about an hour at a time. And then it's like, oh, I can chill now. Cool.
Some LARPs have it different levels. I mean, I've not done a LARP that's 24-hour time in where you're required. I mean, there will be moments where people may break character to have a laugh. Some people might get a bit grumpy, but most people, it's like, we're here to have fun. It's like everyone wants to be the guy who's in character 24/7 at a con, because after a while, someone's going to want to punch you.
Yes. And then I think we've got your latest version, haven't you? Your one that you actually haven't worn to a LARP yet.
No, and I'm terrified of. That's me doing the full superhero landing, where I basically completely overhauled the costume, because I kind of realised I had this modern...
I love the photography on this one as well. It's really cool.
Yes, Kev got just a perfect shot. It's a group called On Location with Esme and Yoris. A friend of a friend did that. I went to help out because it was the daughter of a guy who runs a LARP I go to, and her boyfriend were organising it. And it's like, we need some people who have costumes to model for us. Dad, we're going to put something on your Facebook group because you know a lot of people who like to dress up. So yeah, I went along. The scarf is actually a happy accident. It got caught on a tree branch as I was crouching down, and they said, leave it.
Leave it, it looks cool.
Actually, that scarf is actually a pillowcase.
Nice.
It's a 50p pillowcase from TJ Hughes. Actually, no, tell lie, £1 because there were two of them. Just cut it straight down, opened it up, folded it in half with some fabric glue, and instant billowy scarf. That can also come undone quickly so it doesn't get stuck on my neck.
I was going to say, places like that are really good for fabric, definitely. Whether you're doing cosplay or LARP, definitely finding cheap fabric is a great thing.
Well, both my cosplay is very based around what can I do on as minimum of my budget. I mean, that costume I've probably spent upwards of £100 on cumulatively, but I've bought it over 2 years, and I just add to it now and then.
Ah, proper cosplay on a budget, yes. I used to do a lot of more costumes on a budget, and now I don't so much. I'm pretty bad now.
I've done my New Year's resolution this year was to do four new cosplays. I think I've done that already, but mostly using stuff I already own. I think I did 3 cosplays this year were done based off me owning a suit for a wedding.
Nice.
My screen name, Tweedcladninja, comes entirely because of this tweed jacket. It has featured in about 7 of my cosplays, I think. My first ever cosplay was the 11th Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So jacket, shirt, bow tie, sonic screwdriver, sword. I've done Sherlock Holmes. I've done Clark Kent. I've done Giles. I've done Doc Magnus from DC, which admittedly was one of those. Yeah,
there you go.
Like I say, Agent Coulson, the suit. Rick Taylor from Splatterhouse, which is I got bored. I wanted to see if I could make it. I found the denim vest in a vintage clothes sale, and basically decided, can I get the rest of it?
Mm.
And the mask was basically a actual demonic mask because I wanted to destroy it by the time it was finished.
So these are obviously more of your kind of cosplay side of things rather than LARP, you know, because you couldn't run around in that. Well, actually, you probably could run around the Splatterhouse. Okay, this picture is fun.
Yeah, this is one of my favourite memories. I love telling people that Mel painted me blue once. Last Alcon, I went as Beast purely to surprise a friend, and this is how far I'm willing to take a joke, because 2 years ago, a friend jokingly suggested I be Beast, said they should paint me blue while they were drunk, couldn't remember it the next day. For an entire year, I kept quiet from them that I was actually going to do the costume, and Mel agreed. That is another one of my LARP. I actually can't talk about that too much because that's a character I'm playing at a LARP soon, so who he actually is hasn't been revealed to the players yet. They're going to meet him at a future one. But yes, that was again mostly made of stuff I own. I got bored. I turned a leather glove into a robotic arm prop.
Fun. But yeah, we kind of agreed, didn't we, that we were like, okay, like let's just get you onto the Beast. It's, you know, it's the thing.
It was credit to you. You were probably one of the only people who's got me to sit still and not talk for an extended period of time.
Don't talk or paint in your mouth.
Yes, I remember that. It was that was an interesting. And then, of course, it was raining, so to get to the masquerade, I had to walk barefoot across from the kitchen to the masquerade with a floral print umbrella one of you had lent me.
Yep, that sounds about right. Because I think I'd already gone ahead with the other guys that are also body painted, and it was like, oh my god, it's raining. But yeah, it was
that day.
Yeah, it was a fun day, like definitely. And then you were like, I'm gonna go to the masquerade. And I'm like, yay, this is cool.
Yeah, it was a fun one. I basically spent the entire year finding the right waistcoat and bow ties that was yellow and black. I kept practicing doing the snazzy on myself, but just couldn't pull it off. And eventually, it was just like I was like, "Mel, you painted yourself blue before. How do I do it?" And I can't remember if did you offer to do it just to shut me up in the end, or did I?
I think it was just like I was giving you some tips and stuff, and I was just like, "Just come round to my kitchen, dude. Like, I'll just paint you. It's easier. I'll show you how to do it."
Not enough one gets often, so I took it up on that. But it was an interesting moment. But it was worth it for the look on said friend's face when they rounded a corner to just see me fully blue, just going. And their eyes widened as they finally remembered a year ago. It's like, oh god, I did this.
Oh no. But yeah, it was very fun. It was a good time, definitely. Yeah. You know, I've known Daniel for quite a few years now. Usually from cons. But yeah, it's good fun. Oh, Groucho Marx, get in.
Half my cosplays begin with I was bored, I had something in reach. I had some black snazaroo from when I was originally practicing doing Beast. I was going to put black under bits to detail it. And I was eventually just was moving it. It was like, Groucho Marx did a black moustache even over his actual facial hair. I have a beard. This might look amusing. A big thing that I've always had is I don't go clean shaven. I have a complex about how I look without a beard, so I don't shave. And it's always amused me that that's been a sticking point for people with my cosplays. Like, I've said I'm cosplaying someone, and they say, "You're shaving the beard off, right?" No. But they don't have a beard. And it's become this weird thing of, so you're fine with someone cosplaying someone of like a different gender, a different species, a different ethnicity, a different, you name it, but facial hair is where you draw the line.
Yeah, it seems a little strange, you know, when, you know, people can go, oh, you know, you put a wig on or whatever and your hair's completely different. But then it's like, well, if you've got a beard, who cares? You know, what does it matter?
I mean, it's been known for Mella's listened to me at times, will get random messages from me as I've suddenly like come up with another character with a beard I can cosplay. So.
I could do this one!
Yeah, I admit, when I'm bored, I will just message people at random. So, and there is my most recent cosplay. I wore it at the Wakefield Comic Con last weekend as Guybrush Threepwood, Mighty Pirate.
Yes.
One person thought I was Captain Hook, despite having two hands. One person thought I was Blackbeard. Another person just said, "Am I Jack Sparrow?"
That's interesting choices there, definitely.
Pirate, but I think it was another one of those examples of a costume made on impulse, finding something. I have recently discovered Smithies, which are the makers of just your various, cheap fancy dress costumes that you'll find in most fancy dress shops. They could be like 20 quid or so for a set, and it'll be a cheaply made jacket, accessories. I've actually made LARP kit. I've made cosplays out of stuff I've got from those. So that is actually a knockoff Commodore Norrington coat. I basically cut off all the detail that wasn't needed. So I removed the entire middle of the coat. I removed the pockets. I painted the gold lining red, and I had a Guybrush coat.
Yay!
The figure of me with the eye patch and the robe was me wearing a priest outfit, which I bought for a LARP. One of the LARP I crew at the last event in March. I played the main bad guy, Pastor Zadok, where they told me to turn up as an American Deep South preacher, where on the first night I was to be nice and friendly, if a little bit weird, having been living in the woods with the other villagers for a few years. And then for the rest of the weekend, I was to be batshit insane, pardon my language. Was
nice.
I've done Amdram for a while. I've never got to play a villain. It was cathartic getting to chew the scenery. It was the
villain is great fun. Like, from the cosplay point of view, like, I love playing the villain. I love my Bellatrix so much. My Bellatrix is a special place in my heart. It just means my bitch can come out. It's great.
The fun thing is, I'm not normally comfortable playing a bad guy. I can't, as a player at a LARP, play an evil character. I don't cosplay as bad guys usually. As a crew, Herbert West, anti-hero, but again, it was a Halloween costume I rebuilt into a thing. And another example of low-budget prop making, I do actually have it here. This is actually a syringe in a Mountain Dew bottle. It is literally, the glowing green thing is just the plastic from a drunk a bottle of Mountain Dew, and took the label off it, cut the plastic bottle apart, rolled it all up, put it in the syringe. It now looks like and it catches the light brilliantly. So it actually looks like it's glowing when there's sunlight. That's
a good trick. I like that trick. I should use that one if I need to, I think.
Yeah, when in doubt, see what you can. It's a lot of cosplay and stuff is coming from doing Amdram. We look at what we can do with limited resources.
See, that's what I find interesting, is that obviously you've done a lot of Amdram as well. And so do you find that's really, really helped you with your LARP side of things?
It's helped with the LARP. It doesn't help me with the cosplay, weirdly, because I still get stage fright at masquerades. I'm not able to be in character. I just wear the costume. At a LARP, it's a massive help, because when you do Amdram, you learn to deal with something going wrong. We don't have a prompter at our theatre group, so if someone forgets to come on stage or forgets a line or doesn't have the prop your actual final line of the play is about, all three of those have happened to me. You have to be able to ad-lib. I talk a lot, as is obvious to anyone, so apologies if I'm talking too fast for the viewers to hear. But being able to just talk and not miss a beat and have that ability to not sound like you're thinking of what to say has been a massive help to LARP. I basically, as I said, people were shocked I'd never LARPed before at Futures.
Yeah, like, that does make sense, though, because obviously a lot of the same skills kind of come across in terms of, obviously, you are used to stuff kind of not necessarily going to script, and obviously having to ad-lib and having to sort of make it up on the spot.
The thing with LARP is there's no real script. The game team will set up an event. They'll have set pieces, but how those set pieces play out is based entirely on what you, the players, do. And obviously,
and that's exactly why I'm interested, because obviously I do in-character stuff where it's all question and answers. We have very, very little kind of base level, like, script as such. It's all ad-lib. And that's why
the audience are going to do.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And that's the part of it, I think, that really appeals to me, especially when I know that, like, there's different types of LARP. Obviously, you have your more combat-heavy LARPs. Then you also have your more kind of historical LARPs and your more kind of, like, backstory-type LARPs. But, like, for me, like, that makes it really interesting. And that's why I think it was really, like, cool to kind of have you on today, because it's like, well, you do LARP, but you also do cosplay, and you actually are quite active still in both.
It's interesting. There's been a definite surge in cosplayers getting into LARP, and there was a bit of a pushback about that at first with some people, which is typical of any hobby, where suddenly a new group gets interested in it, and there was a few people where, like, the quality of kit suddenly changed and gone, but also there are people who I think have that mentality of, oh, well, they're not a proper so-and-so. To be honest, it's more of a fringe thing. It's like all the LARPs I've been to, I've had mostly positive. People have been welcoming, they've been friendly. But
I think there's a lot of crossover though as well, because there's a lot of folk that I know that both do both cosplay and LARP. And or like have moved more into one from the other kind of thing.
It's definitely been, I think, in the recent past, maybe the past decade, maybe the past 5 years. Again, I've been LARPing for 2 years, cosplaying for 5 years, so I'm not exactly a veteran of either. But it feels like what were two very separate hobbies have now merged together.
It makes sense. I mean, it's basically like, it's a bit like when you go to a con, you kind of have everybody there, and you're just like, we're all geeks together. It's fine. We're cool. We're chill with this. It's fine.
Yeah. Every hobby, there's its gatekeepers. The people. It's like cosplayers. They'll be the people. They'll always be the argument, oh, you're not a proper cosplayer because you don't do X, or because you do Y, or you're not really into anime because you watch the dubs, not the subs, or you're not a proper Marvel fan because you don't read the comics, you only watch the films. And eventually, it's like, are you having fun? Yep, good. You're a social.
Exactly. I really like your Sherlock Holmes one here as well. This was for a masquerade, wasn't it?
That was first masquerade I ever entered.
Oh, okay, cool.
Fun little bit about that. It was made as a bit of an impulse idea. This tweed jacket, as I say, is where the Tweedcladninja name came from. Because there's actually a funny story about that. I'll just tell it before I go on to the cosplay. I wear the tweed jacket day to day because I'm a 7-year-old man in a 30-year-old body who apparently looks in his mid-20s. And I was waiting outside a friend's house around Christmas, so it was a bit dark. I got to his house to go see a play before he got back. I was waiting out next to the door to his flat, not realizing that the light sensor had gone off, so I was in the dark because I was checking my phone. When he finally arrived and walked up to his door, I stepped forward to say hello, looked up, having worn a peaked cap as well, and because the tweed was dark grey, I blended into the darkness perfectly. This friend of mine, who is an ex-wrestler, by the way, looked up to see me materialise out of the darkness to be right in front of him, and shrieked and leapt 3 feet backwards. And that's where the Tweedcladninja nickname came from.
I see, that's fun.
The Sherlock Holmes costume, though, is one of my favourites because I'm a massive Holmes fan. And the actual business card I'm holding in that photo is an actual business card from the 221B Sherlock Holmes Museum.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'm a massive fan of the Jeremy Brett TV series. To me, he is Sherlock Holmes. And you see a lot of Holmes cosplayers doing like modern day, the Colorado or the Elementary. You don't see, and cosplaying a book character doesn't get done much. I mean, you've had the experience yourself as the Fritz and the Fool. One of my cosplays from the early days I don't document was trying to do Randolph Carter from the H.P. Lovecraft books. No one recognised that. And that's the Holmes having upgraded. So got Deerstalker out of eBay. The pipe was a gift from a now ex-girlfriend. It was because they knew I was doing Sherlock Holmes. The gloves were from Aldi. The waistcoat was from a charity shop. The shirt is a cheap, and the whole thing. And the cape was from a vintage clothes shop where they did me a discount when they heard I was looking for something for a Sherlock Holmes outfit.
Nice.
That photo was taken on the 2nd of January on the Burbage Moors, where I actually went out to Burbage on my own, wearing what was most of the costume, but putting the hat, the cloak, and everything in a bag, and basically hiked up the moors into what I thought was an empty place to look for a suitable rock to sit on, because I was recreating a specific scene from Hand the Baskervilles. That's how sad I am at times, or how obsessive I can get. And you can just see it in the shadow. I had a selfie stick with a phone.
Oh yeah, you can see it in the shadow, can't you?
iPod, yeah. So that was balancing, which I'd weighted down with my backpack because it was wrinkly. And hidden in my hand, on a lot of photos of me, you'll notice I always have a hand slightly like this. I'm actually palming the Bluetooth controller for a selfie stick so I can just take photos.
That is clever, though. That's so clever. That way you can just take your own photos as well, so you can set them up exactly how you want them to as well, which is cool.
Yeah, it's done using my old iPods. The camera quality is not always the best. The other problem is, every time I thought there was no one around so I could do this, another bunch of hikers just came round the corner.
So you just have to learn how to have no shame. That's literally how I've learned how to do it. Just have no shame.
The problem is, despite how talkative and outgoing I am, I'm actually an incredibly, maybe not shy, but very reserved person. So I do have a lot of shame and reservations, and it takes a lot to actually I'm one of those people.
I paint myself blue and travel on a train. On the bus in my small town. It's great.
Yeah, I get to quite get that level. I usually I'm comfortable at a con. It's anywhere I'm outside of a con, and I'm just trying to get over that, but it's still taking some effort.
You know the best thing to do to help you? Have some headphones and just put them in, and then you can't hear anybody around you. It's great.
Yeah.
You just keep catching on the looks, and you go, oh well, never mind.
Sheffield Comic Con in August. I had to get on the tram to go to that. It'll, depending on what I go as, will obviously affect. And
also, I always find I'm really super polite to everybody, because then no one can say anything about you. It's great.
I am already wondering if I can do any more things with the Holmes costume. Funny thing is, I realised taking the photos that what I was wearing before changing into the costume was basically a Dr. Watson outfit.
Nice.
That's what I'm working on for a future con, doing Obi-Wan Kenobi. I hang around. I know Mel through Alcon. At Alcon, I seem to wind up with several different groups of friends. To the point where I almost feel like I'm on a timeshare. One of the groups I'm going to with a con in September, so I think I think it is the next Alcon, wanting to do a Star Wars group. And knowing my luck, I'll have done all this and they'll have changed their mind.
Oh, no.
I'm the oldest member of the group at 32. And as I said, old man and young man's body. I decided to do old Obi-Wan Kenobi as a joke, then realised I had to learn how to make the damn thing. And again, I will just for watching this, I'll explain. I can't sew. I have dyspraxia, so my hand-eye coordination is shot to hell anyway, so I can't do anything precise because my hands start to shake. I am on a limited budget, and I'm not very good at precision stuff. So that robe is actually 4 pieces of a bed sheet, all held.
Oh,
wow. I took one bed sheet, cut holes in it to put my arms through, wrap it round so it goes down and makes the sort of over bit.
It's a really nice shape, though. Like, it looks properly sewn.
I basically was studying pictures of Alec Guinness in the costume to work out all the pieces, because the next bit is a long strip that goes around.
Oh, I think we might have lost him. Uh-oh. Yep, I think we've lost him for now. So what we'll do is we'll just pop to a little 5-minute break, because we are due for break anyway.
My computer
decided
it was going to just randomly fake shutting down and give me a heart attack.
I am just going to we're just going to go to break anyway. Yes, we're just going to go to break, and then we'll come back and get some questions.
Bloody knowledge.
So we'll go for a quick sort of 5-minute break or so. While we're at break, guys, if you all end up actually just pop some questions into the chat for me. If you've got any questions to ask Tweedcladninja about LARP, about cosplay, about whatever you like to ask him about, just give him a little ask in the chat, and obviously we'll get that sorted out for you. So we're back in 5 minutes, guys.
Sorry about that.
Set my heart afire.
Welcome back, guys, to Coschat with me and Tweedcladninja. Woohoo! So yes, we have had a little break because we had a few technical issues, but it's fine. They're sorted. We're fine now. We're all good. So we have had a few questions from our chat. So the first question is, what's your favourite costume to wear? I know it's a difficult one probably for you to answer.
Yeah, I think LARP-wise, it would definitely be the Stalwart costume, just because it's been 2 years' work, it's a labour of love. And weird as it sounds, playing the character's actually been beneficial to me. It's boosted my confidence, it's he's actually a character in Future's End who people like, which is always funny because he's supposed to have massively low self-confidence, but everyone else seems to like it. He basically was, what if Giles became Captain America? And has slowly...
That's a good description. I like that description. I love
he's
it.
basically morphed into basically becoming a human version of Optimus Prime meets Superman. So I do a lot of inspiring speeches and counseling. So I just love being the character. I am genuinely terrified of what will happen to him. So the actual cosplay side, it's a tear. It might be the Sherlock Holmes one because it's such a fun costume. I quite liked being Coulson, even though, to be honest, the Coulson outfit is funny. More people ask to have photos taken with the gun than they do with me.
The gun is amazing, though. The gun is amazing.
It's it's a Nerf long shot, the Nerf anti-tank rifle, the Nerf giant pistol, and a box of Jaffa cakes. And a plastic bottle. The orange film, any cosplay prop where you are required to eat a box of Jaffa cakes is worth doing. Although I think it's probably one I enjoy the most is Sherlock Holmes, just because I'm a massive Sherlock Holmes fan, and the pipe is just fun to pose with.
Yeah, the pipe is cool. Like the pipe definitely makes the Sherlock Holmes outfit like.
I panic whenever I get asked to pose, so I just have to just do the. I need something to fidget with. Yeah, it's probably those two. Although, if I can actually, the Herbert West is actually probably going to be the close second, though, just because it's such a simple costume. But it was one of the first cosplays I did Let's Pose, and I actually realised I actually looked worryingly good in a blood-covered lab coat. I actually was like, I'm not a bad-looking fella in that outfit, and that's slightly disturbing. But also, Herbert West, the film, had a bit of a special memory for a few of my mates, so there's that. But yeah, Sherlock Holmes wins out in the end. Though.
Sherlock Holmes wins, But I don't know. I like Star Wars as well.
Like I said, for a LARP costume, it's going to be Star Wars because my other kits are weirdly mostly variants of priest outfits, and Splendiferous, my other LARP character, is being made as I go because it's a D&D type one where you have to buy the armor in game.
Mm.
But yeah, anyway.
Do you have any cosplay idols?
Ooh, that is a tricky one. I follow a lot of random people in cosplay, but I kind of... It's hard to say, because a few of the people who I would have considered cosplay idols now actually just my mates. I know...
That's fun.
I get to know... I make friends with people. It's... half of the people I know who cosplay are possibly people who are well known, but I just randomly get to know them randomly.
You're a bit like myself, and I'll just sort of sit and chat to folk and just be like, yeah, this is cool.
And it's like, yeah. I mean, I got to know Mel through the same panel. I got to know a bunch of other people. Most of the cosplayers I know, I met by being invited up onto. There was a Parlay IC Avengers panel where I was Coulson, so I just got to sit up there. I think I said one thing in the entire panel and nearly made their Tony Stark corpse. And that is like one of the high points of my con, and I'm now good friends with so many people from that panel.
Including myself. I was crewing that panel, so, it's fine.
I keep telling her a damned amazing looking Black Widow, despite anything. And also, to be honest, everyone I bloody know is bloody amazing at cosplay. I am that guy who will be at a con who will just go up to everyone like, you look amazing! I have no idea who you are, but it looks amazing.
But that's why, you also crew as well. So you have, the crewing side of the cons, and then you also have, the attendee, and you have, all kind of sides of it as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm fairly new to crewing, but yeah, it was, like I said, Wakefield I was crewing. My job was to encourage people to join the masquerade. I may have, ambushed everyone to try and encourage them to sign up. I don't know. Yep. Even if they weren't cosplaying, I may have tried to encourage them.
Most people that I know, I've signed up to a masquerade at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Most people will be like, yeah, I know Mel, she signed me up for a masquerade, goddamn her. But it definitely, gels your personality as well, in that you're so friendly with folk, and, it makes sense to kind of have you kind of doing that kind of job.
It's, like I say, my main skill is being able to talk. It's... In LARP, I am the guy I'm Future's End is supposed to be a game where the two factions are supposed to be enemies. I think people in the rival faction actually like me better than they like half their own teammates. They put me in as Talkie. Well, they deliberately put me in as the villain at the last LARP because they wouldn't expect me to be the bad guy. I just enjoy playing, and I can't do... even Rick Taylor is the closest thing to a silent character I've cosplayed because he's from a 16-bit video game. and people can't hear me with the mask on. Notice I'm usually grumbling about how much I hate that damn mask while I'm actually wearing it. As a prop, my god, that thing falls apart so much because it's not actually attached to anything elastic. It's the hand shape of paper mache and milliput, and I have to just not move around too quick. So
you wouldn't be able to wear that one for a LARP then? It's a strictly cosplay only.
Well, also barefoot.
Yeah, that's very true. That would not be good at a LARP, no.
Hopefully we have a Venezuelan winter kick in again.
See, I actually have a question because I get cold really easily. And so, like, camping and stuff is kind of like, oh, I might get really, really cold. What would you kind of recommend for, like, if somebody was going to a LARP for the first time? What's, like, the one piece of equipment kind of out of character that you'd recommend bringing with you?
Right, if it's one where you're camping, definitely for the camping at night, a good sleeping bag.
I agree.
For the actual costume, thermals. Something you can put on under the costume if it gets too cold. So you can just always, just something to keep warm, and also if you've got room for it on the costume, a water bottle.
That's a good idea. Or like a heat pack or something like that.
Heat pack. One of the people I know, she has a plastic molded heat pack that just goes down the front of her costume. So as she put it, it does mean she has superheated boobs at times, but she is not about that. It's like sort of giant hand warmer, basically, but it's sort of...
It's something like I've definitely done under my normal cosplay costumes is definitely like thermals. I'm an ex-scout leader, so, thermals are a good thing. I've done that before with actual costumes. I'm just thinking like for LARP, because obviously you're living in that costume essentially. Like that, and like you said, having the layers maybe as well.
Something you can put, layers. Also, also make it the costume that you have layers you can take off and still be in costume, because if it gets like a sudden heat wave, I mean, for example, the Stalwart costume, the jacket, I could in theory have just took the jacket off and worn what was under it. I got the heat stroke because I had too many thermal layers on when it started getting warm, so I basically had to go back, take a layer or two off under it, put it back on, and then was fine for the rest of the night. But for camping-wise, having said the sleeping bag, something I've had recommended from other people is something that puts you off the floor. Camp bed, air mat, something that keeps you from the floor will stop you from freezing.
Yeah, again, ex-scout leader, I'd recommend a roll mat.
Something that'll help you sleep better, because you will probably not be finishing until late at night. LARPers do have a reputation for liking a drink, so you might be going to bed till even later, and then you'll have to get up in time to put the costume on in the morning. So you want to have something that will help you sleep as better as you can.
Like, do you see at LARPs, do you see like mega complicated costumes or not? Because I imagine you probably wouldn't that much, because you've got to kind of run around in them and like get up early and put them on.
Well, the Stalwart Mark IV is quite a complicated costume. And then I would say anyone who wants to check out some amazing LARP photos, there is a photographer called Death Duna, who is, in my opinion, a LARP national treasure, because, my God, she takes amazing photos. But the photos she gets are of the costumes. You look at some of the things people wear, and they run around and fight in them, but they're still the detail in the character. Future's End, we have aliens, a playable race. My friend Stacy plays an alien called Snapdragon, who is a blue tentacle-headed alien who she will run around in that costume for an entire day.
Wow.
Rifle. There are ethereals, which are big, horned demon angel creatures. Some people actually have fake wings to go with the costume. It's fascinating, the level of costume work, but still being something you can live in. I mean,
that's got to be a hard balance, I'm sure, like to get that to the point where you can do that, because that's a big skill to have, to be able to build something you can actually run around in. Yeah,
some of it is just simply knowing the character. So if you're playing a character who doesn't run around and is mostly stands back, you don't have to worry about it. It is interesting to see some of the stuff people have and wonder if they have previous experience as a cosplayer or a reenactor or something. But other people they've been playing that character for so long, they've built it up. I mean,
like cosplay is the same kind of thing where you have a character and you build it up, and you have a costume and you build it up, and you get there over time. But like, I like the fact that, you know, with LARP, it's like a different, you are living that character. That sounds really cool.
Usually we'll be finding ways to make the character suffer as well. I mean, I've made a running joke that every time Stalwart has something bad happen to him in-game, it takes a physical toll on him. So in the Future's End, there is actually a poor Stalwart meme amongst some players because of the amount of bad stuff that's happened to him. First event, he managed to get by okay, but it became a running joke. He got blown up once an event at some point. And that was after 2 events, it became a running joke. By the 3rd event, I'd started giving him grey hair. I used Snazaroo to just streak my beard and my sideburns to actually imply that everything happening was actually aging him and making him just look like this slightly weary old man who was, only in his 30s, because it added to the Giles element to the character. But there are players who will go all out with makeup and burn scars and stuff like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in like a year's time? If we sort of came back to you in a year and said, right, Daniel, what's going on in your life now? Where do you see yourself sort of cosplay and LARP-wise?
LARP-wise, I'd hope I'd have finally gotten over the stuff I still suffer from stage fright and a bit of insecurity about getting involved. I'm a little averse taking risks in character as a player. I'm not as good at dealing with confrontation, so I don't tend to play a character who can get into an argument. I'd like to be able to get over that. Cosplay-wise, I'd like to actually have cleared some items off my to-do list. I'd like to have actually made more things. I'd like to be able to actually have like a full costume I've made, if not from scratch, but mostly. Mel has listened to the sheer number of costumes on my to-do list or ideas. I always say I'm going to have a go doing foam. I'm always saying I'm going to have a go learning something. I just want to have like made some more things that I'm proud of, and I can actually go to a con and have people recognise and feel comfortable.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's a good goal to have, definitely. Like just kind of improving your own skills and that kind of thing as well. Like just for your own sake as well. It's not necessarily for other people. It's just for you. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I made myself start learning to sew, even if it's just basic stitching for cosplay. I'm now using it to repair clothing. I'm using the fact that I'm a little more comfortable in front of the camera because I used to hate having my photo taken. I'm
with you on that one.
Getting glasses and learning I squinted without the glasses, which is why all my cat photos I always have that sort of like expression help. I can actually know I'm comfortable in front of the camera, so I know maybe not posing, but at least not looking like a mid-camera, mid-photo even.
So I was going to say, I don't think like we've talked much outside of like actual being in cosplay. I'm like thinking I was like, I wonder if he's actually seen me outside of cosplay before.
I don't know, because I think every time, usually by the time we meet at a con, I'm usually in casual dress a lot more, because I only really, usually we tend to catch up on the Sunday at a con mostly originally, and I'd usually not be in costume by then because early on I used to leave the con on Sunday evening, but then started staying over. So yeah, I think we've never actually met outside of a con face-to-face. Most of our chatting is through Facebook, where it's usually... And also where you'll have that moment of, does he ever actually sleep?
I do wonder that sometimes, yes. Our final question, which we ask everybody that comes on the show, is, so if you could basically wake up tomorrow morning, and on your bed would be like a costume fully made, beautiful, like beautifully made, all like fully customized to your measurements and everything else, and you wouldn't have to do any kind of work to go into it, what kind of costume would it be? Would it be one for maybe your LARP character, or would it be one for your like a cosplay character?
It would be a cosplay. I know exactly which one it would be, and it's probably showing how old I am as a geek. I don't watch a lot of modern anime. I just kind of anime I got into back in the early days, back when it was still coming out on VHS and it was still referred to as manga, before we realized manga and anime were two different things. Back when it was still pronounced manga instead of manga, which is aging myself. First anime I ever saw was The Guyver from Manga Entertainment, and I've always wanted to have my dream cosplay is a full suit of the Guyver armor. One that can actually do the steam vents out the mouth, because seeing it do that in the first episode was like the moment I was like, I've always had the power armor, mech suits, that sort of thing. And to actually, that costume is one I would never have the skill to make, because the sheer amount of pieces it would take I wouldn't trust myself to do, but to actually have that and actually to fit me with this and not make me look like someone who's, swallowed a small child would be actually quite happy with it.
That's cool. Like, people always tend to have at least like either like, yes, I know exactly what I'm having, or no, I have no idea. And you definitely know what you'd want. You're like, yes, I would want that one. That one would be the best.
LARP costume's a bit tricky to do because, like I said, the character constantly evolves. I mean, maybe if I actually had an actual suit of power armor of Star Wars, that worked. But I don't think the game team would let me turn up wearing that.
I also don't know whether you'd be able to run around in it as well. Like, that would be the other thing. Would be
also, it'd be violating some health and safety law. I'm fairly certain that internally modded Nerf guns aren't allowed. Actual mech suits probably wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, no worries. I can imagine that. Yeah, you have a lot of health and safety stuff. I.e., you're going to be like having a LARP where potentially weapons could be hitting each other. They need to be, safe.
LARP weapon, For those curious, this is something I just happen to have near my seat. A LARP sword is fiberglass foam with latex over it, and you might be able to see it. Most people will weapons check it, and you have to have a LARP weapons check to let you use it, because it's, I don't know if you can hear that, but it is actually making it quite loud. No, you can actually still hurt someone with it if you hit them too hard.
See, I have a LARP sword myself, because I basically bought one, me and my friend bought one, so basically we could have a proper sword fight at a con without hurting each other. Because, if you make it yourself, there's a different level of it where you could potentially hurt each other a lot more. Whereas with a LARP weapon, as long as you're relatively careful and you know kind of what you're doing, then you're okay.
I mean, I've done a bit of stage combat in the theatre, so it kind of, a lot of it is second nature. It's learning to pull your blows, learning to not actually hold it hard, just let it hang loose in your hand. Probably. And also, Nerf guns, external mods good, internal mods bad. The rule of thumb for a lot of weapons checkers with LARPs that use Nerf is, would you be willing to be shot in the face with it yourself? If not, why would we let you shoot someone else with it?
That's usually, the thing is, that's a props rule for a lot of cons, is would you, if you had a thing, would it break before a person does?
Exactly.
And that's a similar kind of thing of just a common sense check of, would you, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely. But yeah, no, that's been really, really cool today. I really want to join a LARP now, so.
I'm sure I can manage. I can recommend. I'm slightly biased. I would say Futures End or Age of Ether because I play one through the other.
I've been a member of Futures End for over a year and never been to an event, so. Been a member of the Facebook group.
The one thing I'll say is they do sell out quite quick now because of the fact that they were expecting it to be 50 players. There is over 150, I think. It's just, it obviously clicked. There was an audience for a modern-day superhero game, and well,
because I think as well, it's a little bit more, because it's kind of modern-based, you don't have to necessarily get into all the historical and get loads of costumey bits together. You can literally turn up in, fairly modern kind of gear and be okay with it.
There are people who turn up whose character costume is jeans and a t-shirt specific to that character. There are what are called grassroots LARPs, which are LARPs that bring people into the hobby. Futures End is definitely one of them. Age of Ether is also someone because, again, Victorian, you can go as steampunk as you want, or you can just wear a waistcoat and a shirt and a bow tie.
That's true.
If anyone wants to give a go for one, have a look. If there's a local LARP, go along. Volunteer to crew if you're uncomfortable, because you don't pay to crew. You just turn up. They tell you what to do. It's a good way of learning it. You get to do all sorts. Like I said, in my very first LARP as a crew member, I was American senator. Who was there because we needed someone to turn up with the American ambassador. So who can do an American accent? Do a good American? No? Perfect. Random monster. There are several photos on Facebook of me wearing burlap sackcloth chasing people with axes. I'm terrified my manager at work is going to ask questions one day.
That's amazing.
It's such a good hobby, and it's good to do both because you kind of you can use skills in one for the other.
Definitely. No, it sounds really cool. I definitely want to sort of move more into the LARP side of it and just at least give it a go. That definitely sounds really interesting.
It's not for you, but give it a go.
That sounds really cool. So yeah, thank you very much to Daniel, Tweedcladninja. We do have some other shows on the Twitch stream that are coming up. So on Mondays we have Cosplay Craft Attack with Adam, who is continuing his Halo build on Mondays at 8 o'clock. And then on Tuesdays we have the Fandom Theory, and there are Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. And then here again next week, we have Coschat again at 8 o'clock. And next week we have Luna-chan Cosplay. And we're going to be talking to Kaylee about, she's actually a makeup ambassador herself, and basically about makeup and how it kind of ties into the cosplay side of things. So that should be pretty cool. So that's next week here on Coschat, again next Friday at 8 o'clock with myself. So thank you very much again to Daniel for joining us today, and we shall see you guys soon. See you later.
Bye.